근자비하리
근자비하리
자야라 덤마가 근자비하리 고피장나발라바 기바라하리
자야 고피장나발라바 기바라하리
제 고피장나발라바 기바라하리
자야 고피장나발라바 기바라하리
여쇼다난다나 브라자난다란 여쇼다난다나 브라자간다란 야무나티라 바차리 야무나티라 바차리 Hare Krishna, welcome everybody this morning to Srimad Bhagavatam class. And today we're reading from the 8th canto, chapter 1, text number 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Yasya
Yasya
Adi
Adi
Anto Madhyam Cha Svaha Vishvasya Paraha Nantaram Vishvasya Muni Yat Yasmat Vishvam Cha Tat Vitam Mahat Nayasya Yanto Madhyam Cha Shvakparo Nantaram Vahi Vishvasya Muni Yadyasmat Vishvam Cha Tadvitam Mahat Nayasya Yanto Madhyam Cha Shvakparo Nantaram Vahi Vishvasya Muni Yadyasmat Vishvam Cha Tadvitam Mahat Nayasya Yanto Madhyam Cha Shvakparo Nantaram Vahi Vishvasya Muni Yadyasmat Vishvam Cha Tadvitam Mahat
Nayasyadyam tomadyam cha Svaparonantaram bahi Vishvasya muni yadyasmat Vishvam cha tadvitam mahat
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning, no end, and no middle. Nor does he belong to a particular person or nation. He has no inside or outside. The dualities found within this material world, such as beginning and end, mine and theirs, are all absent from the personality of the Supreme Lord. The universe, which emanates from Him, is another feature of the Lord. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate truth, and He is complete in greatness. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karam. Krishna, known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for He is the prime cause of all causes. For the Lord's existence there is no cause, for He is the cause of everything. He is in everything. Maya tatam idam sarvam. He is expanded in everything. But He is not everything. He is achintya veda veda, simultaneously one and different. That is explained in this verse. In the material condition, we have a conception of beginning, end, and middle. But for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are no such things. The universal cosmic manifestation is also the Virat Rupa that was shown to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, since the Lord is present everywhere and all the time, He is the absolute truth and the greatest. He is complete in greatness. God is great, and how He is great is explained here. And this is one verse. And the next verses are furthering that brief explanation of how great God is. He's known as Achintya. And Achintya meaning inconceivable, beyond our measure, unlimited. One time one man challenged their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, if God can do anything, and if He's so great, can He create a mountain which He cannot lift? Prabhupada said yes, and then He will lift it. Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, inconceivable. Krishna and His opulences are in one sense inseparable, but His opulences are ever expanding. Now, that's almost, it is inconceivable by material consideration. Knowledge of His opulences, His cognizance are ever increasing. Because within the material condition, that's why it's called conditional life, we place conditions. It's relative. Relative, why? Because of the time factor. So many conditions are placed there according to time, place, and circumstances, distance, measurement. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, one time said, simple statement, that which you can measure is called Maya. Krishna cannot be measured. His opulences cannot be measured. As we mentioned or heard yesterday, Takshi Krishna Nabadi, Nabhavan Brahim Indrai, Sevan Mukhahiti Vado, Swayam Eva Spuratyadana. But with our blunt material senses, they're not very sharp. We may be sharp in some of our dealings, but our perception is very dull through the senses. We cannot understand or perceive, let's say, the transcendental nature of the Absolute, even within this cosmic manifestation. We cannot perceive His presence, as Prabhupada mentions here, that presence was revealed in the Bhagavad Gita. We hear about it. It was revealed to Arjuna and others too. But in order to see even that cosmic, if you're looking in the Bhagavad Gita, and for many people this is like the chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the 10th chapter of the 11th chapter rather, of the Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna reveals His presence in the 10th chapter, Arjuna wanted to hear about His opulences, how He pervades this universe, how everything is resting on Him as pearls are strung on the thread. Just like you take some pearls, you have a necklace of pearls, you only see the pearls, we cannot see the thread. Without the thread, the pearls will fall. So the thread which keeps it, this kind of analogy, which keeps everything together is Krishna's presence. Of course, that which is being kept together is also a form of Krishna. Nothing exists outside Him. Everything, yet still, this is another of His mystic opulences, His expansions, you can say, are separately constituted in many ways. Just like in the So in the Ishopanishad, we discussed yesterday one verse from the Ishopanishad, and the previous verse to the one we discussed, Om Purnamadak Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Madachate Purnasham Purnamadaya Purnam Meva Vishishyate, that everything we see in this material world is completely perfect. It's like the universe, it's like working as a complete whole, because it comes from the Supreme All-Perfect Personality of God. But each one of the units which emanate from Him are also perfect within themselves. This is the nature. Yeah, they seem to be, in a sense, individually constituted, going on. And Krishna Himself, it describes, and that Prabhupada mentions here, we're jumping around a little bit, we'll come to our point in a moment. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we see that, they're confusing this book. It is confusing. There's no 9th chapter in here. What's going on? I'm confused. It goes straight from the 8th to the 10th chapter of this book. What's happening here? The absolute. Oh, I see what's going on. They titled the chapters wrongly. That's what's happening. No worries, we can still find it. It's just the titles, the top titles are wrong. It is Attaining the Supreme. Oh, I'm okay, I've got it. And it's just the title. We're not going to read the titles. The titles of chapter 9 is Attaining the Supreme. If you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita, you probably know that's not the title of the 9th chapter. The title of the 9th chapter is The Most Confidential Knowledge. Okay, some small overview, oversight there, slight oversight. And there Krishna says, we're looking at text number 4, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervading. He's pervading everything. We can't see because we don't have the eyes to see. We have material eyes. He's not material. Material means beginning, middle, and end. It means controlled by time. Relative knowledge. Yes, we can use the relative knowledge in a positive way to understand the absolute truth, or the spiritual knowledge. It is also spiritual in one sense. It's just covered by Krishna's external, expansion of his internal potency in the form of Mahamaya, who causes us to falsely understand what we're looking at. And we see it, as we discussed yesterday, in a perverted way. And we conclude that that's it. But we can't see what's behind it. Any more than a child can see what's behind a flying aeroplane in the sky. Practically anything. How a child is born, how does it know? What do we tell a child? We bought you in Woolworths. That's what my father told me. We bought you in Woolworths. And I was a little bit older. I went, Mum took me to Woolworths, and I was looking, where's the babies? I couldn't see any babies in Woolworths. I actually know. We found you under a gooseberry bush. I worked in a gooseberry farm there. I didn't find any babies under gooseberry bushes. Cabbage plot. My father's allotment, there were no babies there, cabbages. One day a stork brought you and dropped you. You can't explain it to a child, It's inconceivable at that stage of development. Same thing with conditioned souls. We can only understand. That's why in the scriptures, even Jesus Christ is only explaining a little tip of the iceberg, because we cannot understand anymore. Even in his own words, he said, I don't say it word for word, but in summary, how can I tell you anything of that which is beyond the spiritual world? How can I tell you anything of that world when you do not even understand what I'm explaining you of this world? Very difficult. You are generally locked, blocked, full of consciousness is covered in material life, trying to enjoy the objects around us. We have no time to look within. And even if we do, what do we see? We have just another subtle form of what we're seeing outside in most cases, even worse in many cases. What can we see? Not very much. The senses, they have to be purified. The process mentioned yesterday, we briefly mentioned it, was that we have to act in such a way that will please, instead of just to please ourselves, what we call ourselves, which is not even ourselves, it's our mind and senses which we identify with. That's called Maya, that which is not. We're identifying ourselves with something which we're not. And that's the first ABC of spiritual life. So that's hard to stomach. And even if theory is there, practice is not. But we learn to act in such a way that Krishna will be pleased with us. As a part and parcel of Krishna, we're meant to act in relation, in cooperation, for the pleasure. It's like any relationship. If we want to please the other person, we try to act in a way which will please them. If you want to develop a loving relationship with someone, it's not all about doing what I want. It's about doing what they want. That's what will capture their hearts. If, for instance, you invite someone for dinner, and you want to, make a nice, somewhere or another, a nice relationship, you don't think, well, what do I like to eat? I don't care what they like. I'm cooking. It's what I like that matters. I'm the host. It's their hard luck if they don't like it. So that's not usually what we do, unless either we're completely self-centered or we really don't want them to come back again. We just want to cook what we want only. No. We find out what they want. And then the relationship didati pratigrinati guyamakyati prichiti devo jayate chaiva sadvidi lakshanam. These are the 6 forms of loving exchange, even in the material world. We offer food, receive food, give charity, receive charity, reveal our mind, hear from others. Different ways of making a relationship. It's not all one way, it's 2 ways. And with Krishna, so we try to find out what they like and do that, and then, thank you very much. And they feel like reciprocating. It's called surrender. Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Reciprocation. Simple. So like that. But to see Krishna, Prabhupada one time he said, several times maybe, don't try to see Krishna. Well, we didn't finish yet, that was the topic. But try to act in such a way that Krishna will see you. That's the process. Not trying to keep pushing our nose. Here I am. Oh, get out of the way. Sometimes it's like other people. Here I am all the time. Sometimes even Prabhupada's disciples. One disciple, he would wherever Prabhupada went, that disciple would pop up here. Haribol Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Everywhere Prabhupada went, somehow he just pop up there. Why don't you do something useful for a change? Not just about popping your face up. Care about seeing my face. Do something which will please Krishna. He's a person. You can have a loving relationship with Krishna. And see how whatever Krishna's given us, is also a part of Krishna's energy, whatever we have. Expansion of Him. And we also are part of Mam Yoga Vidyanta. Mame Vansa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. We should act for the pleasure of the whole. It's like the part of the finger of the part of the body acts for the whole body. If it doesn't, we have a problem. If you ask your hand to pick something up and instead it punches you in the face, you definitely won't be very happy with the hand. The other hand may, it'll be a fight. Obviously the hand has to act in cooperation with the whole. So we're part and parcel. Jiva Loke, part and parcel of Krishna. Eternal also. Doesn't mean the body, exactly. The conscious living being within this body, who's conscious of some degree at least of this body, this world around us, that particle, that spiritual particle, is eternal. And we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. It's just for a flash, you could say. And there's no time in the spiritual world. We have time measurement in this world, but for that period, we've forgotten that relationship. So the whole idea of human life is to remember that relationship. Bhagavatam is to try to remind us of our relationship with Krishna. And it starts, in one sense, we're trying to understand Krishna's presence within this material world. So Scripture, Shastra, Chakshas, is giving us the eye whereby we can see Krishna within this world. And it guides every living entity, all of, at least human beings, how we can act in such a way that Krishna will clear our heart, purify the heart, meaning purify our consciousness. Just like the light coming from the sun. The light coming from the sun illuminates all objects so that they become perceptible. The consciousness is like that. It's like the light of the soul, making, depending on what we shine on, we see different things. And we perceive different things according to the combination of the modes of nature. Guidance is there according to our particular condition, our attachments, etc., to gradually clear that away and have the real light of knowledge. Otherwise we're looking, in a sense, shade. When you have a shade, it's absent. It doesn't have its own separate existence, really. It just means the absence of the sun. It's not a separate entity. The material world is a little like that. It's just like being in the shade. It's completely dependent upon the sun. Or looking the opposite way, then you see what we call this material world. Let's say it is described as darkness, but it doesn't. I mean, we have light and darkness. Only light in this world because the sun is there. If there was no sun, it would all be completely dark. And the sun is the eye of Krishna. What's said to be like his eye, illuminating this world, this universe. So we have the ability to see. Otherwise we wouldn't see anything. Completely dark. All the little lights that we have are getting all their energy from the sun. They're not separately independent. The energy is coming from the sun. So like that, everything is coming from Krishna. But when we look away, we may not see like that. If we live in a cave, we don't know that. We just have maybe some temporary illuminations. But the actual light is coming from the sun. And this material, everything is coming in that sense. Light, heat, everything from the sun. So like that, everything is coming from Krishna. Yet the sun is separately constituted, although he's lighting up the entire universe, you could say. So Krishna is lighting up everything. And we see here, although he's in everything, by me, my unmanifested form, that means we can't see his presence, this entire universe is pervaded. Just like we're pervading, or our consciousness, let's say, is pervading this body. We can't see it, but we can feel it. Pervading this body. Consciousness is pervading the entire universe. In fact, not only that, but he is personally expanded into each and every aspect of his creation. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. This is interesting. The next verse says a little interesting. This is the inconceivability of the Supreme Lord. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am a maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. He's creating it. But it's not that he's become broken down by his creation. He remains complete in himself and aloof from this creation. Even a man who impregnates a woman, a child is born, it doesn't mean the man and the woman have become reduced in any way. They're still independently constituted, they're individuals, the child is also an individual. All the expansion of Krishna, a little bit of example like that. It's not completely perfect, but like that, everything that emanates from Krishna is complete. Yet he also remains complete, he doesn't become divided in any way, and he's also aloof. To a certain extent, when we create something, although we may be attached to it, we're also a little bit different from it. You can separate yourself from it too. So Krishna, in his expansions, although they're nothing but expansions of himself in one sense, with different opulences, different purposes, different, potencies, and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, he is himself separate. All the expansions are meant for his pleasure. Whether it's the Jiva Tattva, that means the individual souls, or the Vishnu Tattva, his personal expansions for different purposes, and different energies are all meant, and even the material energy is meant for his pleasure. We think it's meant for our pleasure. We've got that independent free will. Jiva Tattva has that free will, and that's given by the Lord. It's there in Krishna and the particular Jiva Tattva, they all have their free will to relate to the energies of Krishna accordingly. This way, that way. And according to our choices, the Lord arranges various let's say, influences, the various modes of nature, and we may be attracted to see through a particular mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. We fight over the different modes that we're seeing the world through, and so on and so forth, until we learn, understand how to see things from a higher perspective by working through the modes of nature, using that conditional perception in a way to channel it towards Krishna consciousness, towards seeing it from the perspective of Krishna. And that's what Shastra is for. And that's why spiritual guidance is required, why the human society is organized in such a systematic way to, even without people's knowledge, to help gradually elevate their consciousness, step by step generally, towards an understanding of the actual situation, of seeing not myself in the center, but seeing Krishna in the center. Then everything gradually becomes revealed. As in the morning, when the sun rises, everything gradually becomes revealed. You can speculate all night long, but when the sun rises, it becomes clear. But as long as we're in the shadow of this material world, it is never completely clear. It is just vague understanding. And when one comes into light, Krishna Surya Samaya Andhakara, then the darkness is removed. Where there is sunlight, there cannot be darkness. Where there is Krishna, there cannot be Maya. So it's somehow or another to bring Krishna into our lives, everybody else's, no matter who they are. And then Krishna goes, so in this way, it means to say everybody is resting on him, but he himself is aloof. He's in everything, yet not in everything. In other words, the living entity has his own minute independence of choice. It's the inconceivable nature of Jiva Tattva. You say, well, Krishna is... But that's the nature of the potencies of the Lord. He's given Jiva, spirit soul, this complete freedom of choice, whether to see Krishna and him in the center or me in the center. Us in the center. The material world is the platform or the place that the Lord arranges, if you want to look at it simply, for that purpose. So we actually all see ourselves in the center as the enjoyer, as the proprietor, and so on and so forth. And thus we become implicated, entangled in the material world. And then we see, well, how are we going to see it differently? We're conditioned. So how did Arjuna see it? Now in the 10th chapter, after the next chapter, long description there of how we can understand some of the opulences of the Supreme. I'll just read some of the last verses. O Arjuna, Krishna says, I am the generating seed of all existences. If you take a seed of a tree or a plant, you plant the seed and a tree grows. Now, where's the seed gone? You can't see it. Of course, it may produce more seeds, but you can't see that seed from which the tree is grown. It's not manifest. Of course, you can chemically explain it, it's transformed this, that, the other, but you can't see it. It caused the tree in one sense, but we can't see it. The material creation, we can't see the cause, because we're within it. Even anyone, within something, you can't see what's actually outside of it. It's like a little insect inside. Sometimes they live inside some thing, some fruit or something. They don't know outside. That's their world. That's it. That's the truth. That's all there exists. Or a little tiny molecular cell within our body, it only knows its immediate environment. That's the universe. Similarly, we're stuck in this little world, and that's it. We have a tiny bit of perception of the universe outside this planet. Tiny bit, that may be imperfect even still, but still some little perception there. But we don't have very much perception. And we think we can come to a conclusion as to what the absolute truth is. As we mentioned yesterday, hardly even know how our own body is working. I am the generating seed of all existence. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. Almighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestation. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Spark of the splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Briefly, Krishna's explaining his unlimited potencies. And it's wonderful just to meditate upon them. As we heard yesterday, in verse 1, we read a super verse where Sanjaya said, what did he say? It is nice. The Supreme Lord said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. It's limitless. Arjuna wanted to know in detail the opulences by which you pervade this whole world, O Lord. How shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? What various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? You know yourself. You alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither then Krishna just explained his transcendental nature to Arjuna. And Arjuna is completely, because he's seeing it. He's got purified vision to see what is going on. And in the next chapter, he says, Arjuna says, by hearing the instructions you have given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. O Lotus-eyed One, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity. Realize your inexhaustible glories. O Supreme Form, O greatest personalities, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think I am able to behold your cosmic form, O Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Prita, see how my opulences, hundreds of thousands of various divine and multicolored forms. O best of the bards, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumars, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see, and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Then Krishna reveals his universal form. And at the end of the chapter, the last few verses, my dear Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifice, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances, can I be seen in this form in the material world. Then Krishna revealed his form to Arjuna. After revealing his universal form, he then revealed his form as Narayan. When Arjuna saw Krishna, then he revealed his two arms. When he saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, see this human-like form, so very beautiful. I am now composed in mind, and am restored to my original nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, this form of mine, which you are now seeing, is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas or undergoing severe penances, or charity or worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Because Krishna reveals himself. He is earlier in the 10th, 8th chapter. How to meditate upon you, my Lord. As Krishna says, as the inconceivable. How to meditate on the inconceivable. The inconceivable reveals his inconceivable nature. We cannot see. But if he so chooses, he can reveal himself accordingly. As we are seeing him here in the form of time, in the form of a material energy, he can reveal his personal form if we develop a personal relationship with him. If we want to remain impersonal, that's all we're getting. If we want to remain materialistic, that's all we're getting. He will appear before us as death personified. Or he will appear as the impersonal Brahma-Jyoti. But if we want to actually awaken our full understanding of the Supreme, by his grace, everything becomes possible and revealed. Then we have to follow the personal path of utilizing what belongs to him in his service in a way which brings him pleasure. Because he is the origin of all pleasure. We are just a small fragment of that pleasure potency. And when we connect with that, then we will feel the experience of being wholesome, so to speak. And he is the supreme origin. Krishna consciousness is to return to our origin. Turn our face towards him and everything becomes clear. Hare Krishna. Okay, any questions?
Maharaj, what form?
Ajita had a question. Yes. You had your hand up first.
Maybe it's interesting that there can be a little debate on what belongs to God, what belongs to us. But in reality, Krishna is on the Rishikesh, so even our senses, the debate that belongs to him. So therefore, as you explained, there should be even our own senses, where the senses that we have should be engaged in this service, otherwise we feel.
And we mentioned a little bit briefly on that. It was one of my favorite examples. I mentioned it yesterday about Bali Maharaj, how his wife said, "You're still a fool, because you were thinking, I've given something." It was theistic. I've given something to God. But she said, actually, you don't have anything to give. Because everything's his. All we have to give is to give the idea that we have something to give. Everything belongs to him, including us. It's all his. Expansion of Krishna is wonderful. Complete safety, security, happiness. Why are we groveling in a world where nobody makes it? Trying to control this world, fighting over it, and then we die and lose everything. We serve time, as they say in the prisons, they serve time. Basically, we're all serving time, and time kills us. What a stupid thing to do. You serve somebody, it's an animal mentality, they don't know. It's cruelty. They don't know. They're serving the master, and the master slits his throat. It's the illusion, this is Maya. It's there to try to wake us up. Come to your senses. Come to your senses. Realize Rishikesha Bhakti say Uchite, the senses are meant to be used in the service of the master of the senses. If we don't, then it's just a never-ending struggle, trying to satisfy his never-ending flow of desires which enter into the mind. The senses are never stopping, picking up pictures of the objects which are nothing but a reflection of Krishna's internal potencies. And the senses are by nature pure. Yes, the soul is imbued with senses, but they're pure. They're pure. In this material, they're covered by the modes of nature. And we're seeing differently. We're seeing the objects around us, and trying to get this, and trying to get that. You get this, and you're still not satisfied. You've got to get that, you've got to get this. And you're pulled in every direction. You learn a simple secret of understanding. Yes, the senses, as it is, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mind, everything is booming up below you, going up with you. It's Krishna's energy. Separated only as much as we're seeing it separately from Krishna. We're thinking it's mine. That's the biggest disease, me and mine. And to cure that is not the disease. If you go to the doctor said, "Oh, can you tell me, what's your problem? What's your sickness?" "I have a terrible problem. I think I'm my body, and I think this is mine." You do have a problem. You have a serious problem. Just hold on now. Just make a quick phone call. Got a really mad nutcase here. Might be dangerous. Can you bring somebody over quick? I'm getting worried about this guy. People think you're mad. Of course you're your body. Of course that's yours. Basically what most people probably think, and you've all experienced it, I'm sure. Let it be. What's the result of that kind of mentality? Geez, do you really want to be this body? Do you really want to be it? Really? You really like it? What do you think? You really? Maybe when you're 17 years old, you're in good health, you're running around, maybe you think, this is great. When you're 70 years old, you still want to be that body? You're so attached to it, even though it's rotten. It's rotten even when we're 17 when you look at it in reality, isn't it? Oh, you've got such beautiful eyes. Okay, here you go, take it. Pop. Have my eye, if you like it. Ah! Ghastly. Oh, your skin is so soft and sweet. Okay, take it off, here you can have it. Here's that beautiful skin. They say beautiful skin too. Body which is full of disease. You really want to be that? Is that the best we can think of? What is this mind? What do you want, some bits of plastic and metal? This is my mobile. This is my car. My house. In a second it's always like a child on the sand. My sandcastle. My sandcastle. But what's going on? It's my sandcastle. And the tide's coming in. What can you do? Everything's taken away. Even your senses. Eyes, as you get older, start to fade. Ears start to also lose their reception. Smell. Everything. Taste. Ability. Everything's reduced. It's not with an act. If it's mine, what the heck can't you control it? If it's not, there's a force. If you claim something which is mine when it's not, that's in our relative words, it's called a criminal act. And that's what's going on. That's why we're suffering. Simple. It's nothing to do with the material world or somebody else. It's just how we see it, that's all. And we're seeing it's mine, and this is me, and this guy's in my way, and that guy's my friend, and this thing, that thing. Change this, change that. And we think it's going to be... It's not going to make no difference as long as we're still seeing it as ourselves in the center. And simply that one switch, that one switch, this shops, and you get everything on. They call them one-stop shop. It's like that. You have one stop, one turn, everything becomes different. Just turn the light on and everything becomes clear. You see things in relation with Krishna. There's no more enemy, because everything's simply an expansion of Krishna. How can it be an enemy or a friend in terms of material comparison? You can't have that. There's no good, bad, this, that, the other, when we see it in relation to Krishna. All these things are only there to help change our perception so we start to see it in relation to Krishna. So we act in a way which is favorable for that purpose. The good, bad, rules, this, that, the other, to help change our perception, our consciousness, how we see what? How we see things. When we look at object, how we see it. Do we see it as an object of my pleasure, or do we see it as Christian energy to be used in His service? So, same thing we're looking at, just the result is rather different. You have your choice. If you want to carry on in the material world, that's choice, free will. You want to, and struggle. And maybe at this point in time I think, I'm not struggling, I'm enjoying that. For some time maybe, we may feel somewhat like that. It doesn't last. Everything is where there's a shashvatam, kalayana shashvatam, it's temporary. And when we lose it, it may not be such a pleasant experience. And we get our karma, and it may not even be a pleasant experience in the first place. Oh, and thank you.
Forgotten my Krishna.
Now that's another way of being Krishna conscious, because Krishna says, Apovamuksha, that not forgetfulness also comes from Krishna. Even forgetfulness. That's Krishna, as for whatever reason, has, maybe claimed to whatever reason is, sometimes we forget. But that also, that potency, or the ability to forget, comes from Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. We think, oh, it's mine. How is it mine? How have you forgotten something which is yours? If we're so great, I can't even remember what he did 5 minutes ago, or what he said 1 minute ago. And I certainly don't know where I'm going. And what type of... We're so helpless, really. So dependent. So dependent. We want to say, I mentioned there, I mentioned yesterday, I mentioned again, I mentioned in Auckland. Maybe where did I mention? I don't know. Did I mention it here? That science convention in Berlin? Where did I mention that? Where's Goringa? Okay. Was it in Auckland or here? Huh? Did I mention it yesterday, did I? Where?
Yeah,
did I mention it in class today? Can't remember. And we think we're so great. Cancelled due to circumstances beyond our control. Man's conquest over nature, that was the title of the convention. Circumstances beyond our control, convention cancelled. That was just a blizzard. On to speak of other things. Professor dead, whatever it may be. No, we're not the controller. I want to be the controller. Such false ego. Such false ego. Why? Take Shara, Krishna, have a loving reciprocate, he'll give you everything. You'll be happy. What do we want? We want happiness. Huh? Cares less whether you've got money or less if you're happy. You have a big house up on top of the hill, you live in, here in Wollongbar, wherever it is, a hill and a palace, whatever. Who cares if you're happy inside? Doesn't matter. We heard from Francis, no, the happiness is inside. And you're seeing everything in relation with Krishna. Let's try to look down that channel. And just at least give it a go. You're not to lose, you're going to lose it all anyway. Anything else? 2 hands are there. Who wants to go first? Jeet Jah go first.
You were saying yesterday that we're focused sometimes too much outward and not balancing it with inward. But I find like when we're doing all this service for Krishna, it's all this.
All outside stuff, isn't it? Material.
Not much time to do that.
Well, we just read that. That's an interesting point. Krishna is neither inside. He has no inside or outside. So the outside, you're seeing as outside, is also the inside in one sense, in terms of Krishna. So when we're doing things from the perspective, well, let's say from Krishna, it's not outside or inside. So that outside activity of cleaning or cooking or chanting outside, whatever it may be, is not exactly outside because it's being inspired by the internal potency, the spiritual internal energy, to engage us in that way, so that will purify, because we're basically sentient, very materialistic, to purify that perception so that we start to realize that it's not that duality is not there, outside and inside. We're talking outside, inside. We talk of material and spiritual. We're talking these things because of our condition. But on the advanced stage, everything is actually spiritual. It's not outside or inside. Krishna is there. Krishna is everywhere. So that's the process. That's the process, and you'll see in due course of time, if one follows the process under the sufficient direction, in due course of time, that gradually, that there will be no, let's say, feeling of separation between inside and outside in that sense. They will all become, you say, Krishnaized. So everything around, everything will just remind us of Krishna. Anyway, this is the day when in the tradition where we tend to see like that, objects. We see this separate mentality is there. That's this and this is mine, and that's whatever it is. All this duality we see. But with a bit of purification, then duality is no longer, let's say, an influence which creates confusion. It may do to others, but not to one who has that self-realization. He sees equally all these various energies of God. He sees Krishna. That's the process. It just has to be properly done according to our condition, and that will purify our vision so that gradually we'll understand. When I say inwards, it means to say, see things from Krishna's perspective by hearing from the scripture. We can't jump to that platform of realization. We hear from those who have it, and by hearing from those who have it, we gradually realize that everything is truly connected to Krishna by following their guidance, by following Shastra, Guru, Sadhu. That is the process. Any ladies? Okay, last one.
Maharaj, you mentioned that, that Krishna is there, Maya can't be there.
Krishna what?
Wherever Krishna is there, Maya is not present. Like, as aspiring devotee, we try to bring Krishna into our life, but we always see that, sometimes we hope, we lose hope that, will the ever darkness or Maya go away from our heart. So,
Yes.
So how does that work? Because we're trying to bring Krishna in, but we see the Lord.
Krishna, it's a war against Maya. Kill Maya, kill Maya. Amazing. Sometimes we get really kind of passionately worked up, In the beginning, that's natural. That may, I'm not saying it has to, but that may sometimes be a little bit like that, because we're still seeing that as duality. Firstly, Maya is simply Krishna's energy acting in the role of a servant of the Lord. It's not an enemy any more than a prison warder is their enemy. And the enemy is their own, as I said earlier, actually the Maya is a reciprocation with the Lord through the Maya potency, because we want to see separately from Him, see separately from Krishna. We want to try to enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna arranges this world to facilitate that free will of the living entity, and the Maya potency, the Mahamaya potency, specifically causes us to forget, so we can, continue to try to enjoy this material sojourn, birth after birth after birth after birth, because she's just acting to actually facilitate our actual desires. It's like, the person may blame the judge for their being sentenced to death or prison or whatever. The judge is simply neutral. Maya is actually neutral. It's working in the Krishna direction. But we may see that we have no understanding of Maya and Krishna and the relationship and why we're here and all these different things. So we tend to see again, that's to say, it's all Maya, what can I do? What can I get rid of Maya? Yes, but that Maya has to be understood. What is that Maya? That Maya, an illusion which she creates, so to speak, in that potency of the Lord, on our consciousness, that's what has to be clear. We have to clear away this separate mentality, this seeing things separate from Krishna. That's the illusion of Maya. And this false identification with the body, that's supposed to be cleared away. And Maya is actually helping us, we just don't realize it. By various ways, by arranging situations which are even frustrating and so on, but we don't take it like that because we're still determined to try to enjoy separately. But her business is, she's very happy when she's engaged in Krishna service. And she's there for her assistance. So we do pray like that sometimes. Please remove this curtain of Maya, become free of Maya, and so on and so forth. But we're not. The Lord is certainly not an enemy of Maya. When we say Maya is our enemy or something, that means the false perception, the false illusion of identification, that's our enemy, which results in the lust, greed, anger, illusion, all these different things, basically driving us, the driving forces. That's the result, seeing things separately from Krishna. So that's our enemy, in that sense, to see it separately. But that's our choice. That's not Maya's like indiscriminately imposed upon us like the devil or something. It's not like that. It's our choice. It's like a person may, because of conditioning or karma, and acting away, but ultimately the choice is there
they've acted in a legal way or a criminal way, they end up in the nick. And you can't blame the judge, you can't blame anyone, it's your own choice. You're told what's right and wrong, you don't do it, what can anyone say? You were one. So we're being one. One listens what to do. So Maya keeps us in this illusion. And we don't realize that we're actually causing our own suffering. Maya is just facilitating us. Okay, so let's use Maya. Let's use the material energy, or whatever it is. Let's use our identification also in Krishna service if we're at that stage. Whatever we think we are, let's use that in Krishna service. If you think you're a doctor, you think you're a lawyer, you think you're a man, you think you're a woman, use it in Krishna service. And then gradually we'll start to realize that Krishna is the truth. He's supreme truth. Everything is resting on him. Maya is also such directions, working under his direction, not independently. And we're also meant to work under his direction. So then there's no more Maya. The curtain is revealed when we see it in relation with Krishna, that the darkness, you could say, spiritual darkness, the ignorance created by Maya in this world is removed. Cloud is removed by the presence of the sun, so we can see the things clearly. Jai Hare Krishna, bless the Shri Prabhupada. Thank you very much.